Hi, welcome back to Tendoc Talks about the Power Rangers role-playing game. Today we're going to talk about the Yellow Ranger. Now, the Yellow Ranger is most closely related to the monk from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. They get multiple attacks per round. They have some movement-based abilities. Their whole thing is high speed, and they get bonuses to speed and smarts primarily. They also get strength and social increases, but they're very low. So they get a total of 8 points speed increase over their career, 7 points smarts, 4 points strength, and 3 points social. Remember from other videos that any time they could give up one of their essence points to take a perk. They start off with the regular stuff, Power Morpher, Blade Blaster. But instead of a power weapon, they can choose 2 light power weapons. This does not have to be daggers. They don't even have to be melee weapons. Although if they're not, you can't use some of their multiple attack abilities with it. They're also trained in light armor, which isn't a lot of protection, but you can take a feat to adjust that. Most of the time, they're going to be dodging with their speed. Their toughness isn't going to be very high. It's not one of the stats that increases a lot. You start off automatically with a point in either acrobatics or initiative. Initiative being your ability to go first, and acrobatics being your tumbling ability. And you have to take +1 in finesse and +1 in alertness. Now, finesse is primarily what you're going to be using to attack with. It's your speed-based martial arts. It doesn't count as martial arts unless you take a specialization in it. Otherwise, it's just an unarmed attack. But I'd recommend specializing as soon as you could. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of its abilities. At first level, they have the ability called Triple Strike Attack. It allows you to attack with whatever is in both of your hands separately. You have to spend a power point in order to do this, though. But you can attack with one hand, attack with the next hand. And then your third attack is special. It counts as a martial arts attack, and it can be a punch, a kick, a headbutt, whatever you want. But you don't use any of your skills for it. You have a special follow-up die that you have to use. And at level 1, that's 1d2. By level 20, it has turned into a d10. I'm a little disappointed that it never gets to the d12 phase. Basically, if the Yellow Ranger was just allowed to attack 3 times with their martial arts ability, or with one of their weapons, it would be better, because if they've trained themselves so that they have like a D8 or a D10 in their martial arts stat, then they'd have a better then they'd have higher accuracy. But in this case, they can do that with the first 2 attacks, but the third attack has to be this follow-up die. After that, starting at level 2, they get something called a strike bonus, which basically lets them spend a power point so that the very first attack they do in a round has 1 shift. It's slightly more accurate. And as you level up at 5th level, 8th level, and again at 11th level, that shift bonus goes up by 1. So by 11th level, you get 4 shifts on your first attack as long as you spend a power point. That's pretty good. That can put you into automatic success rate range. Like many Rangers, they have access to multiple attacks using the extra attack feature. They get a second attack at level 5 and a third attack at level 15. But it interacts with Triple Strike a little differently. From what I understand, Triple Strike will affect one of your multiple attacks, but not the other 2. So your first attack would be Triple Strike ability, you'd attack 3 times. Then you get 2 more extra attacks. So by level 15, you're attacking 5 times. And the reason why I think this is there's a note here that says, the extra attacks are not split into multiple attacks by the Triple Strike attacks roll perk. They are singular attacks added to the standard attack action. When you take a standard attack action, you can spend a power point when you make a finesse attack action to attack with each of your hands and then do a follow-up martial arts attack. An extra attack says whenever you take the attack action, which you just did, the number of attacks increases to 3. And the note says the extra attacks are not split into multiple attacks, but it didn't say anything about the first. So as a GM, I would say yes, you can attack 5 times as long as you're level 15. Otherwise, extra attack completely replaces triple strikes because it's better. You get to use your actual training instead of whatever the follow-up die is. And that would be dumb. The next ability they get is at level 7, and it's called Exploit Weakness. And it's not explained super well, but basically you make an alertness check. You have to beat 14. As long as you've done that, you can ignore one of the target's defensive bonuses. So if you choose resistance, then you ignore the fact that they have resistance. If you choose armor bonus, you ignore their armor bonus. What exactly that means... So on the monster and the threat section, monsters have a toughness, and then in parentheses it will say their armor. You get to ignore that. And at level 15, if you beat that difficulty, do you have to spend a power point to do this? No, just after making a melee attack against a target with augmented defenses. Yeah, by level 15, you can ignore all augmentations. You don't have to choose. Level 9, they learned Whirlwind Strike, which lets them attack everything adjacent to them, but it's not a single attack, right? So if you're using triple strike, what it would do is make it so that those triple strikes affect all creatures equally. And it says you make a single attack roll, and they're applied equally to all enemies. So you would do your triple strikes, and since you're level 9, you could throw an extra attack in there. So you'd attack, what, 4 times? And then the accuracy of your strike would be compared to everyone next to you, and if they hit, then they do the damage and then they do 1 damage to everything around, or as much damage as you hit. At level 13, they learn Lightning Fast, which allows them to spend a power point, and instead of moving, you basically teleport 60 feet, up to 60 feet. It's not an actual teleport. It is representative of you running, so you need line of sight. But you just kind of appear there so fast that no one can see you. Attacks of opportunity are not a thing in this game. So this might not be as good as you think. But it does allow you to just kind of appear next to people. Or away from them. And finally, at level 18, you learn Devastating Strike, which lets you do triple damage on a critical hit instead of double damage. Like all rangers, there's a level 20 ability, but basically they come in flavors. And this one is, you get resistance to all normal blunt and sharp damage. Most do. You do an additional point of damage on finesse attacks. Most rangers do, except it's either finesse or might, depending on which type of ranger you are. But this one's special. Gain edge on speed skills checks. All of them, all the time. Advantage. It's pretty good. But basically, if you want to play Monk, or, you know, some version of the Flash, but Power Rangers, be the Yellow Ranger. They're focused on speed. Stay tuned for more.